Everybody, welcome back to the best new podcast, Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Dexter, Henry, Bryan, Fonseca. Bryan Fonseca, I can't even say names today. Bryan Fonseca here for you. Episode 4 already.
Yes.
Time is flying.
Yeah.
As we're rolling along. No guests today, just myself and Bryan.
Yeah.
So you get to hear a little bit more from us. We have the production crew here.
Hopefully that doesn't disappoint anybody. Hopefully they're here for us. Yeah. And not just, guests, so to speak.
Well, yeah, they're here for us, and we're gonna have guests still coming up. Should have a guest next week, and I should have a special guest coming up after that, which I'm sure everybody will be intrigued to see. But a lot going on in our country, a lot going on in world of sports, and sports mixing with politics, and people getting mad all over that. And one thing I will say on this episode, for those watching and listening, there will be no locking of arms on this episode today. We are a unified crew here, the Backpack Broadcasting crew, and we don't need to say that word for the 50th million time this week. So there'll be no locking of the arms here. Our producer, Matt Feniza, and Louis Velez, our photographer, and Matt Panico, they're across the way, and they're not locking arms either, but they're doing a great job. But let's get into it. NBA offseason. We talked about this a bunch of times on the show last couple of weeks, how crazy it's been this offseason.
Yeah.
And then it got crazy the past weekend. Finally, the Melo drama is over. Carmelo Anthony has been traded, and the way the news was broken to me was insane, because I was working at a workshop helping a bunch of kids, this program I do, First Take, and I was in the middle of the presentation, and one of my friends, Toya, came in and told me, Dexter, Melo's been traded. I'm like, yo, you can't give me news like that and not expect me to react. So I take some time to look over my phone, and I had a lot of text messages, including from you, that I didn't even get to respond to. So, let's let the people know. I'm going to ask you what you asked me. What was your reaction to the trade and everything that went down?
Where was I? First of all, even going before that, the melodrama, I'm not sure that it's over yet.
It's not over.
We might have some more melodrama in OKC, because there is only one ball to use between Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Melo and Steven Adams, and I'm just saying, it might not be the easiest thing to work out. But we don't need to get into that, and the fact that they don't have a lot of depth.
They don't.
When I found out, I was coming back from a football game covering Erasmus Hall in Canarsie, which is 42-0. And
exciting.
my homeboy, my photographer, Jeff Armstrong, friend of the show, friend of ours, he is a Knicks fan. He saw his phone, and he was pissed.
Yeah, we can't even say what he said.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, a couple expletives here and there while we were crossing the street. I was laughing, kind of with and at him on the way to the train. We were coming back from Canarsie, but the Melo trade. Excuse me. I don't know if it's great for the Knicks, but I don't know how much better they were going to get out of it, considering, what Phil Jackson did to sabotage, Melo's Melo period. How about that? Yep. And, you get Enes Kanter back, who can score, Doug McDermott back, who can score also, and you get a pick. I think if I'm a Knicks fan, I'm like, hey, why couldn't we get a better pick? If I was thinking like a Knicks fan in that scenario, but, you are the Knicks fan, so what do you think?
When I first saw the trade, I was like, it's okay. I give the Knicks a B- on this. I don't think there was much they can get, because Phil Jackson brought down Melo's value in his end-of-season press conference when he let the whole world know that they were trying to trade him. Well, if people know that you're trying to get rid of an asset, it doesn't really have much value there. So he kind of messed them up with that. Look, I thought that the one thing I would say about the trade is they got back tradable assets. It's not like Kanter and McDermott. Yes, they have their liabilities as defenders, but they're players that people would want to add to their roster. So if the Knicks need to move one of them, they're tradable assets. Their contract situation isn't bad. The Knicks really don't have too many bad contracts. Well, on the roster, it's the Joakim Noah. I'll get to that down the road. Yes. Joakim Noah's contract absolutely pisses me off. We're paying him $18 million. That's probably going to be the fourth best center on the team, and I don't trust him because he hasn't played.
I
don't want to see him.
I wish you guys could hear the uncensored version of this.
Yes.
It's better off air.
Oh, yeah, because Bryan's heard my rant about that. The bottom line is, and I think I speak for a lot of Knicks fans, where I don't want to see him. But back to the trade.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. I thought they could have got a later first round pick in saying like, hey, ask OKC for their 2020 or 2021 first round pick. It wouldn't give you immediate results, but a pick you can have down the road. We see how picks down the road have helped out teams like the Boston Celtics. So I thought they could have got a better first round pick where OKC might actually be in rebuilding mode at that time. However, the Chicago second round pick Chicago's expected to be probably one of the worst teams in the league. That should be a high second round pick, basically like a late first round pick. So the Knicks could still get a player that could be a rotation player there. So look, based on their hands were tied, handcuffed, Phil Jackson messed it up for them. I'm not sure it was going to get much better than what they got. They weren't going to get a ton of stuff for Melo. He's a declining asset. And I think they came out okay. It's not that horrible. If you thought they were getting like a young player on the rise with upside, then you're kidding yourself. You're delusional.
Now on the flip side of this, though, for OKC, I think this probably makes them into a contender, if not close to a contender out west. The thing I question is their depth, obviously, and like I said before, I was joking, but still, who's going to take the last shot and things like that. But bottom line is
Westbrook.
Bottom line is you have Melo as your third option. That's a really good,
It's a good situation to be in.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's going to be some growing pains, just like we saw with Miami. It's going to take them time to figure it out, but they will figure it out. They don't have a lot of depth, kind of like that Miami team in 2011, and they lack some of the shooting. Where's the shooting coming from other than those guys? So I'd feel a little bit better if they had some more shooters off the bench. It's funny, they could use a guy like McDermott. They don't have somebody like that right now.
That's true.
I'm a big Russell Westbrook fan, so I will be watching this team a lot on League Pass. But
where are we putting them? Where are we putting them in the West? Golden State's still first.
And I'm never still going to discount. People are disrespecting San Antonio. I think San Antonio may have slipped a little bit, but I'm not ready to put like dirt on them
I'm not ready to put the Thunder ahead of them or Houston yet.
I had a discussion with a friend the other day, and we were talking about who's better, Thunder or Houston. They're really even. I'll probably give the Thunder the edge. I would feel better if Houston still had a backup point guard like Patrick Beverley, but I'll probably give the Thunder the edge just on star power. But Houston might be a better offensive machine overall because they still have guys who can space the floor and know their role, like Eric Gordon, Ryan Anderson. So they might be where you just have these three stars, and I don't know. It's going to be. This season got a little bit more interesting with the drama, and this is what this NBA offseason's been about. It's been all about the drama.
Yeah.
And then beginning of this week, that was a weekend, and beginning of this week, we got Dwayne Wade getting a buyout from the Bulls, which everybody expected, and he went where everybody expected, right with his buddy in Cleveland with LeBron James, and LeBron is happy. And did you see J.R. Smith's comments about what he thinks about having Wade and Derrick Rose and Isaiah Thomas? And he said, well, the best thing about them is they want to be here. That was definitely a shot at who didn't want to be there. So the Wade move was expected to me. I don't know if it necessarily makes them good enough to beat the
I don't know
Warriors.
how much better it makes them either.
I'm not going there.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think the Cavs, with the trade they made, maybe they'll lose now to the Warriors in 6 instead of 5.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you. What do you think about the Wade move? I thought it was okay. It's all right.
I don't know. It probably wins them a couple extra games, because we have to respect Dwayne Wade for who he is. Even now, as a declining player, he's still good.
Yeah,
it's just his game doesn't necessarily age well because back in the days he was drawing a lot of contact, getting to the line, and he was never the knockdown 3-point shooter, even as one of the dominant 2 guards that we've ever seen. So with all that being said, now he's, I don't want to say a shell of that, but he's a lesser version of that, where he's, great from mid-range, which is a dying art now, as we know everything is threes and layups and dunks. So how much better is it going to make Cleveland? I don't know. If you had Cleveland winning the East already, this isn't going to, make you say, they're not going to win the East now. And if you had Boston winning the East, well, you shouldn't have Boston winning the East. So Cleveland's the first seed in the East, in my opinion. They're gonna lose instead of in 5-6 or instead of in 4-5, whatever.
I think
they are deeper than last year too.
Yeah, they are, and there's value to Wade.
Yeah.
I think it's about how Tyronn Lue uses him, and I think if he plays him 15 to 20 minutes a night, manages him on back-to-backs, this is a guy you can have on the floor late in games who can professionally still score and get you a bucket. I don't think Dwayne Wade still has something to give at 35. I just don't know for what he has to give necessarily truly helps the Cavs in what they need against a team like the Warriors.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to be interesting. But what's also interesting with all the drama, you and I were talking about this before we did this podcast, the free agents that are left.
Yeah.
A list that has some players. Darren Williams, Net fans.
Yeah, I was going to say the same.
Some are probably happy that he's currently unemployed. I don't know how I feel about that, being happy that somebody's unemployed. Monte Ellis, I'm surprised.
Me too.
Still
he's another one that his game didn't really age well, though.
And I still think he's got something to offer. He's got speed. He's kind of a volume shooter.
Yeah.
Something to offer. Matt Barnes. I know Matt Barnes is getting up there in age. I don't know if he necessarily can defend as well.
Yeah.
And if there's a role for him on the team. David Lee, I still think definitely is something to contribute to a team. A player I've always liked. Very good rebounder. Played well on the Spurs.
I think a team like Cleveland could actually use him coming off their bench.
That's interesting. I see him. It's funny. I could really see him fitting in with Boston. That's a team I could see him.
Well, I see him fitting in with Boston for other reasons.
Yeah, well, I know where you're going there. I guess he fits right in. Him and Gordon Hayward, they go right into that Boston culture. Roy Hibbert.
Producer Matt Finese is like, I want no parts of this.
He doesn't want to talk about his beloved Gordon Hayward going from his beloved Jazz to the Boston Celtics. Matt, what did you think about that? This is our producer Matt Finese. We're going to ask him, what did you think about that? Are you still
who has
tears?
A camera today?
Yeah, are you tears over that? Like, what's up?
Well, let me fix my mic. It's quite an interesting question to start off my introduction to the podcast. I didn't really care. Bryan's loving this, but
because I know you're BSing.
Well,
he's crying inside.
Maybe it depends. I like Gobert better. I always did.
This is true. He does.
I always did. Hayward was also the guy though that did the things Gobert couldn't do as well. So if I needed someone to take that three, Gobert is not on the arc taking the three at the end of the game. So yeah, he's going to be missed in Utah, but I think they made some good moves. I mean, I don't know where else I could go.
Before you continue,
yeah.
I want everybody to see this. No, don't switch yet. Go back. Look at the sign behind Matthew Finese.
Oh, yeah, that's why he was
because we have this running joke. You know what? I'm going to get into this now. We have this running joke about Freddie Gibbs here.
I was not going to mention
Not
Freddie
about
Gibbs
him, but about how I'm a big fan of his. I want to know, like, what's up? What's really up? What's really good here?
I don't feel like...
Is everybody on here plotting on me now? Is that what's going on in this podcast?
Yo, he slammed the microphone stand.
We're 1 month in, and look, man.
Well, he's putting it back in. He's serious.
I'm struggling, too. I do want Bandana to drop. Freddie Gibbs, Mad Lib, stop playing.
Here we go. Anyway,
back to the NBA.
Man, I'm going to say we're sorry for your Jazz and losing Gordon Hayward.
It's okay.
But we're sorry we also had to talk about Freddie Gibbs again on this show.
Yeah, no, that's always...
We're not sorry about
Before we go to break, one last bit of thing with the NBA. Obviously, they've come out, and the NBA Board of Governors has announced that they are changing the lottery rule system that will start in the 2019 draft. The first three teams in the draft will have a 14% chance each of grabbing the top pick. Team 4, 12.5%. Team 5, 10.5%. Team 6, 9%.
Very balanced.
Going down. I've liked these changes. I don't know if it's going to stop tanking. I think people are acting like it will.
No.
It won't.
No.
I just think I like the fact that the top three teams have a pretty even chance. Maybe the Knicks will be bad enough to get the top pick this year. Probably not, because the Knicks always find a way to mess up the draft.
They're also not that bad relative to the rest of the East.
They won't be that bad, unfortunately.
If they stay healthy.
But we're going to, in a couple weeks, we're going to get into NBA predictions and what we think the Knicks are going to do, what we think the Nets are going to do here in New York, what we think some other teams are going to do around the league. Because there's some interesting teams I definitely want to talk about, like the Jazz. Like, what did the Jazz do? Now they've lost Hayward. I've been looking at their roster. Their team that really intrigues me. What did the Hornets do with Dwight Howard? There's a lot of really teams to talk about. We have so many different fans here at this podcast. We got Matthew Panico, one of our assistant producers, he's a Wizards fan. So we're going to talk a little about the Wizards too. What are they going to do?
And we both covered the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah,
we were at Media Day this week.
At Media Day this week, which was interesting. Good to talk to some of the players. We saw Spencer Dinwiddie, who joined us last week.
That's right.
And he did not bring us any food, but he acknowledged us. He was like, "There's the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, guys." But next time I expect to play the curry chicken or something, and hopefully he comes through with that. But we'll see. We're gonna head to our first break. When we come back, we got to talk about what kind of dominated the news cycle this week. Everybody talking about the NFL. Everybody's locking arms.
And we're going to have fun with it.
And Mr. 45
Hopefully
had something to say that pissed people off. Because people very, very, very angry. And I got a lot to say about this because I'm pretty much annoyed. I'm over it.
Yeah.
But I'll talk about that when we come back on Ain't Hard to Tell podcast.
It ain't hard to tell where to get the latest merchandise from Backpack Broadcasting. Gear is now available via TeePublic. Visit the Backpack Broadcasting TeePublic online store to get shirts, hoodies, mugs, and phone cases. Represent your favorite Backpack Broadcasting shows, including the Sports Walk, Sideline Stories, and of course, the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Check out the special offers for our podcast listeners at http://t.pub/lic/backpack. Get in the game with your official Backpack Broadcasting gear today.
What's up, listeners? You know sometimes how it can be hard just to get from point A to point B. Now, when I have to get anywhere and I don't want to deal with the hassle of public transportation, it ain't hard to tell how I get around. I always make sure to use the best car service app in the game. I'm talking about Lyft. Lyft offers rides in minutes. All you have to do is download the Lyft app, request a ride, and you will be on your way quickly. Lyft is all about happy riders and happy drivers. Take a ride with them and you'll see why 9 out of 10 rides end up with a 5-star rating. Lyft always has amazing offers for new customers, and I'm here to tell our listeners about a great offer today. Lyft is currently offering free ride credit to Ain't Hard to Tell listeners. If you are new to Lyft, then you are eligible, and getting your credit is easy. All you have to do is download the app and use the promo code AHTTPOD to unlock your free credit today. Ain't hard to tell who has the best car app service, so use the code today and ride out loud with Lyft. All right, welcome back to the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Dexter, Henry, Bryan, Fonseca here, you there listening. And this past weekend, week 3 of the NFL was very, very interesting. And it was interesting before the games even started.
The games weren't even that interesting, were they?
I mean, I didn't watch. I'm still boycotted.
There you go.
So, I mean, I read and saw some highlights.
Saw some highlights, too.
That's about it. But a week ago, Friday before the games, our president, Mr. 45, decided to have have a rally, I guess it was, to pander to his base in the lovely state of Alabama. And you probably know what his base is there in Alabama.
Yep.
And he was speaking to those people as what he should, speaking to them about what, the values that they might hold there.
Yeah.
This is not to talk about everybody in Alabama.
No.
But he ended up attacking NFL players, and he called them SOBs.
It was like a scene from the Warriors.
Yeah, it was. It was like some. I don't even watch wrestling, but it was like some WWE stuff.
Yes, it was. I've been saying he's a heel manager.
I've never seen anything like that. To see that from the leader of this country was extremely disappointing. Now, look, I've got some things to say on that, and then I'll let you respond first before I get into this. But then we saw on Sunday, NFL players. There was some protests. I've got the air quotes going, protests, because I don't really think they were protests. People coming out. Some teams stayed in the locker room. Some teams didn't go. It came out. Teams were talking about unity and linking arms. And then Monday Night Football, we saw Jerry Jones take a knee. We saw Ray Lewis down on both knees, even after he said he would never take a knee. Hypocrite. So it was just a whole bunch of stuff. What did you think, Bryan, of these so-called protests in the NFL last weekend?
First of all, I think Mr. 45 needs to pay more attention to my island, my people's island of Puerto Rico, that is like really struggling with everything, with life right now, you know.
Yep.
And he's putting forth a bad optic, paying more time to the NFL and the NBA also, certain NBA players, and not, you know, sending help out to the country, water and things that they need like that. There are a lot of people living on generators, and we know from Hurricane Katrina that the deaths didn't come right away. They came like after, when people had to try and live off of almost nothing. So that was my first takeaway from that. And also on top of that, why is he becoming the story, like outwardly trying to become the story, trying to go against the NFL and trying to really, he actually helped their ratings this week. First of all, did you see that? There were stories run about all of that stuff, and he bumped up the ratings and things like that. And I think these protests, the reason why we put air quotes on them and things like that is because they're not really protests.
They're not.
They're just locking arms. Like Jerry Jones, he figured out the formula, because he was somebody who, let's be honest, he sounded like a bigot, talking about how, hey, whoever takes a knee, I'm going to cut you, this and that. And this is where a lot of people were saying that Des Bryant should be somebody who actually takes a knee, because we know Jerry Jones is not going to cut him. And we know in the NFL, more than any other sport, how good you are gives you more leverage to do, you know, whatever it is that you wanted to do. Because if it wasn't Colin Kaepernick, if it was somebody else, like a Russell Wilson taking a knee, he wouldn't be out of the league right now. I don't care what anybody says.
Right.
And Colin Kaepernick's still a pretty good player, but Russell Wilson obviously is, you know, better history, better reputation.
Right.
I say all that to say, yeah, these weren't really protests. Jerry Jones was just figured it out, like, hey, let's not do this during the anthem. Let's do it right before, to show that we're unified, to show that we're together, and to show that we're all in this for one common goal of being united. And that's been the trigger word for everybody. And it's like, unity is it's played out at this point.
All right, so I'm with you. Number one, I'm gonna be very blunt about this. I think the locking of the arms, the word that's been thrown around, unity, when we don't even know what people are unified for or what they are kneeling for. Like, nobody said that. Like, everybody's like, yo, we're locking arms in unity, and we're kneeling like this, like it's just Team Power Rangers or somebody came together and everybody's doing this. But I'm like, what are y'all unifying for? Like, what are you kneeling against, right? And that's my problem. And then recently I think it was the other day, Aaron Rodgers came out and said, I'm asking for all fans in the stadium to unify and lock arms during the national anthem, so that we can show that everybody's together. And I was like, yo, this is Green Bay, Wisconsin we're talking about. Green Bay, Wisconsin. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know Green Bay, Wisconsin is not exactly the most diverse place in the world.
You won't find a lot of Dexter Henrys there.
You're going to see a lot of people that look like each other locking arms. That's not really unity. That's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. So my whole thing is, I think these anthem protests were extremely disappointing. As I'm in agreement with you, they were not actually protests. I have no idea what they're standing for, what they're uniting for. I have no idea. What I see from this is I see rich owners who were mad that Trump called them out and talked about their products and their ratings. So they were like, look,
their business,
man, we can't have this. We can't have our business looking so bad. So we don't want these black players who stepped out and took a knee in the name of social injustice and racial inequality, because that's what they were about, right? That's what this protest was started about with Colin Kaepernick. And what's disappointing to me is we've gotten so far from that.
Yeah.
It's so, like, now nobody's not even talking about what Colin Kaepernick took a knee for, what Malcolm Jenkins was protesting, what Michael Bennett and Martellus Bennett were protesting. Now we're talking about unity. And I kind of feel sorry for those dudes, because the message of what they were fighting about, of racial inequality and racial injustice and police brutality, is just gone completely out of the way. This is about the owner's bottom line. And it's about making money, saving the ratings, and not pissing off the portion of the fans that are anti-anthem and think that somehow these protests that these black players have done are about the anthem. Every black player that's protested for racial inequality, against injustice, have repeatedly said it's not about the anthem. But people still keep saying it's about the anthem. And you know how it's not about the anthem? Somebody sent me a video the other night when Jerry Jones took the knee. Jerry Jones goes down on the knees, and this was before the anthem. So let's also say how that really wasn't.
The flag was nowhere near in place.
They take a knee before, and somebody's filming from inside the stadium, and they start booing. So if you're booing them when they took a knee before the anthem, then it's not about the anthem.
Exactly.
So those people I want to know is like, what are you really mad about? Like, are you really mad that there are black players that we're talking about social injustice? Is that really what makes you mad? Because if that really makes you mad, if that's what you're upset about, then you need to check yourself on what you actually believe in. And if you're okay with people linking arms and being in unity, look, I'm not here for that. The linking arms, the unity speech that's been going on is corny. It's corny. It stands for nothing. It means nothing. We all were talking about this before. We still cannot understand what there is. And I will say this too, for those who want to stand, if you want to stand during the anthem, you have a right to stand during the anthem. If you want to protest for whatever you want to protest, you have that right too. Nobody should be forced to. Nobody should be forced either way to do it. So Mr. Villanueva, Alejandro Villanueva, who wanted to come out and stand for the anthem as he served this country, that's what he wanted to. He has every right to do that. Yeah. That doesn't mean that by him standing, he's being disrespectful to the flag or the players that are fighting against a cause. Neither are the players who are taking a knee for the cause being disrespectful to the flag. And people act like two people can't coexist in the same space. Like we don't work with people we don't like or agree with all their beliefs. It's like, oh, now we have to have unity. I'll ask anybody out there who's listening, are you unified with everybody in your job about what it is you believe or what it is you do? The answer is no. It's not possible. It's not possible at all. Some people are going to rock with certain things you believe. Some people aren't. Some people care about the lives of other people, and some people don't. And I think they're sad. Now, I'm going on a bit of a rant here, but when you have...
I'm enjoying this.
When you have the president saying you're calling NFL players SOBs, but a couple weeks ago when we saw what was going on in Charlottesville, and you called the neo-Nazis very nice people, and you've got people at a rally applauding that, you've got people booing the players who are taking knees against racial injustice, you tell me what's wrong there. You tell me what you call those people. I call them what they are, racist.
My problem with that is that those people don't get it and they won't.
They won't.
So it's a matter of like, all right, we're continuing to have this discussion about racism, bigotry, whatever the case may be, and the people who are going to be mad at the Jamel Hills of the world and all these other people who are against, Trump and they're fighting for what they believe in. It's falling on deaf ears because those people who don't get it will never get it. I always say those who don't get it don't get that they don't get it. So it's like, why is it? I don't know where we go from here in terms of the discussion. Everyone says it's good to have the discussion, but if one side is not going to budge, because we know why 45 won his presidency. He catered to his base, and by catering to only his base, he was able to outright win because that base became really passionate about him being their leader, speaking for them, him enabling them to, act the way they act and be more outright with their support. And in him getting that base to go out and vote, they voted, and the other people who didn't take him seriously, like some people that we know, they just, I'm not going to vote. Don't worry about it. He ain't going to win. And then look, now we are where we are now.
Well, yeah, I think all of that is true. And you talked about where the conversation is right now. I don't know where the conversation is because we're stuck on this unity nonsense that doesn't mean anything. And in sports, we have this saying that people always say, sports brings people together. Does it really? Does sports really bring people together? If sports really brought people together, then you wouldn't see this stuff that we're doing now where you're trying to have this fake unity. If sports really brought people together, you wouldn't have had NASCAR come out and put the stuff that they said where they're like, hey, if anybody takes a knee on this car team, we're firing them. Okay. Am I surprised from NASCAR? No, it's NASCAR. We all know what the demographics of NASCAR is. NASCAR is not bringing people together. Let's be clear. NASCAR isn't bringing people together at all whatsoever. Yeah. We have to understand that, and that's just the truth of the matter of what it is. There's a certain percentage of audience that minorities follow. In certain sports, soccer, you're going to have a lot of diversity. I want to say one sport on this planet that brings people together, I'll say soccer. Yeah. Even though soccer has had its own racism issues throughout Europe, et cetera, whatnot. Basketball is probably a little bit more diverse of a watch sport in here. NFL, I would say, still probably leans more to the middle America in this way, and I think this is why you see so much of this backlash, and this is why Trump is catering to that.
Yeah.
But we need to stop this false notion of sports bringing people together, because like I said, if it was, you wouldn't hear the comments from NASCAR, because NASCAR is very comfortable with saying what they said. They're like, man, we don't even care. We're not even worried about PR backlash on the other side, and we don't have to worry about minorities being mad about what we said, because we're like, minorities don't come to watch our cars go around the track 200 times. They know that's what it is. And I think it was disappointing to me going further. There's a couple other people I wanted to call out in this. Rex Ryan.
Oh, he was so surprised.
Bruh.
So surprised.
Rex Ryan. I liked you as a Jets coach. Thought you were.
I didn't.
You know, I know you. I liked him for the most part. I defended him a lot.
He ruined Geno
one thing I
Smith.
want to defend him. This guy went on ESPN and talked about he supported Trump, voted for Trump, which is his choice.
Which he did.
And he also brought him out at a rally in Buffalo.
Which he did.
And he said that when he heard Trump's comments about calling the NFL players SOBs, now he had seen the light.
Yeah.
And he was appalled.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what appalled you? It didn't appall you when he insulted Muslims. It didn't appall you when he insulted Latinos. It didn't appall you when he talked about grabbing women's body parts. That didn't appall you. But when he called NFL players SOBs, you were like, nah, I can't have that. Now I'm upset. And to quote Mr. Rex Ryan, he said, this is not what I've signed up for. No, sorry, sir. It's exactly what you signed up for. You knew what this man is about. I was always raised, my mom always told me, if somebody shows you who they are, that's who they are.
Believe him.
Let's not act like this is not what he is, or this is not what has been shown. We've seen what this man has been about. So none of this should be shocking to anybody. When I saw the comments, I was like, okay, he's acting like a 2-year-old again. I see that. Yeah. I get it.
We saw that in New York. And
I'll let you speak to get the last word before we go to break. But the other people I wanted to talk about, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees. They've come out and they've talked about, Ben Roethlisberger said he was disappointed he did not get to come out for the anthem. And Drew Brees both of them talked about how they think all players should stand for the anthem.
Yeah.
But we should be unified. How are you about unity in a league that's 70% black, and you have some brothers in this league who've been taking a knee, standing up for things of racial injustice? Instead of you saying, hey, how can I help or support those brothers, you're talking about they should stand for the flag. Mm-hmm. Well, it's not going to be, it doesn't have to be unified. Why do they have to do that? Why do it have to be that way if you do it? Or, quote, this is not the place for a protest. I love when people say that.
Yeah.
When is the place to do a protest? Protests are meant to be uncomfortable. You know what? Rosa Parks wasn't comfortable when she decided to not move from the front of the bus, right? And Rosa Parks wasn't fighting or protesting against public transportation because she didn't want to move. Mm-hmm. She was protesting about the right to sit wherever she wanted, the equality of it, right? That everybody should have that. So I never understand the correlations. Like people who keep saying that the players kneeling are against the anthem, it's like saying Rosa Parks not moving from the front of the bus was because she was against public transportation. It's just as ridiculous. It's so ridiculous, it's not even funny. All you unity people out there, go have several seats someplace else. Please.
And this also, it leads to Colin Kaepernick, because it all started with him, right?
And he's been forgotten.
But at the end of the day, I think, he's somebody that we're actually going to read in our history books years from now. He's going to be looked at as an American hero or villain, depending on what you believe in, because of what he did, just simply taking a knee, and then people gave him a lot of attention for it. And now his original cause, again, fallen on deaf ears because nobody actually knows what he took a knee for. Everyone's hijacked the original cause of standing up against racial injustice or standing up against inequality. And some people, it's like, how could you be against how could you be against equality, for all? And the only people that are the people that are comfortable with who they are and want things to be a certain way. That's why they're outraged about Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys taking a knee before the anthem.
There you go.
Because they weren't really upset about him doing it against the anthem. They were upset about them taking a knee in the name of unity, because a certain demographic of people, not all of them, but a certain demographic of people wants to be more powerful than everybody else. And I guess we can just leave it there.
No, they won't give it that and leave it at that. Is they want to continue. That's how white supremacy works, and that's how it continues.
Real quick. Are we getting tired of this? Like, are we getting tired of like just fatigue about not the processing, not the anthem talk, but just everything surrounding it?
I'm tired of people not listening. I'm tired of people twisting it into something it's not. I'm tired of people taking the focus away from the people who are actually trying to fight against injustice and inequality. That's what I'm tired of, and that's what I'm fatigued about. And I actually think what's got to happen now is the minority athletes, and not just minorities, the minority athletes, everyone who actually is against racial inequality and wants to stand up and say something, now they're going to have to find another way to do it, because the knee thing is getting played out, and they played it out with this whole unity thing. And quite frankly, the unity thing has just been done to make certain people who don't want things to change, as you so perfectly said, make them feel comfortable. The unity stance and locking of arms is about like, yo, let's do this, but let's make you people that are a little bit mad feel comfortable enough that you'll still pay money, come to the games, buy the beer, drink the crappy Bud Light, and you'll be happy and fine with everything. You go home. So it's really like, my question to those people is like, what is it that you really hate?
Traditionalists just want tradition to prevail at the end of the day. They just want things a certain way because people are afraid to get out of their comfort zone. And this is what all of this is doing, is getting certain people, once again, out of their comfort zones, and they don't like it.
Not going to happen. We got to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to get off this 45 talk. We're going to talk a little bit about hip-hop. Some interesting albums dropped last week. One that I'm really feeling, been bumping all week. So we'll talk about that when we come back on A Hard to Tell podcast.
Sports Guru is the place where fans talk about sports via video. All videos are 60 seconds or shorter. Sports Guru makes the video look more professional and fun by adding automated on-screen graphics. You can follow your favorite sports by team, trending, new, or by people you follow, and more. Type in the title of your video and it will auto-magically go into your on-screen graphics. It's just that simple. Tag your teams and publish sports. Let's talk sports.
The best new sports web series is here. It's from Backpack Broadcasting, and it's called The Sports Walk. The Sports Walk is a series where diverse sports fans take a walk and share their views at the intersection of sports and society. The entire first season is now available on Backpack Broadcasting's YouTube channel and backpackbroadcasting.com. See what other sports fans have to say about a variety of issues in the world of sports. Watch all 13 episodes from season 1 and take the Sports Walk today.
Welcome back, y'all, to the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Dexter, Henry, Bryan, Fonseca here. And last week, Fridays are now the days where albums drop. And a couple albums dropped. You listened to 2. I've only listened to 1.
You're gonna listen to the other one.
I'm going to. It makes me like, you're gonna like Freddie Gibbs, right?
I wasn't even talking about him.
God, no, Freddie Gibbs. Just if anybody knows,
Matt, show them the sign one more time.
Not dropping album.
Show them the sign right behind you, making a mockery of the hip hop that I like.
There you go. Bryan loves Freddie Gibbs. We can all see it.
You only live twice in stores now.
Hardly has to have that sign behind him. But Rhapsody dropped her album Layla's Wisdom, and Lecrae's album dropped. What's the title of Lecrae's album again?
What is the title? All Things Work Together.
All Things Work Together. I'll be in full disclosure, I have never listened to a Lecrae album, so I've heard him spit before, and he spits decently. I just never have been moved to listen to an album of his, but Bryan's saying I should listen to it.
Yes.
So I'm gonna check it out. I did listen to the Rhapsody album. I've been a fan of hers for quite some time. I know a lot of people think the female rap game has been lacking. You just have a certain person you can go to. Everybody goes to listen to Nicki Minaj, and now Cardi B with the Bodak Yellow, which is a song I mess with. But I've been looking forward to this album for a while. She dropped a couple EPs last couple years. A lot of people know her from being on To Pimp a Butterfly with Kendrick and some other stuff. And I think this album's really good. I think it's really, really solid. I think it's maybe like one track I really wasn't feeling. But a really good sound all the way through. Great production. Most of it done by Ninth Wonder.
Who liked my tweet about the album, by the way?
Yeah, I saw that.
That's one of my favorite producers. I should have responded.
Yeah, mine too. One of my favorite producers. But I just felt like Rhapsody really, it was good to see an artist like her. She really has worked on her craft and kind of really put it together with the song making and the structure of the album, and just everything really hit for her. I just found it a very enjoyable listen, lyrically, production-wise. It's bumped up there into my top 5 hip hop albums of the year
already.
Yeah, it's
After
really
less
strong.
than a week.
Because it doesn't take a whole day to recognize sunshine. You know what I'm saying? That's a common line for you guys that don't know. But I feel like it's really strong. Like, it's really, really strong. I really like it. I've been bumping it hard for the past week, and I'm just really impressed with what she did. And I will say this: I think it's one of the. I can't remember the last time I listened to a rap album by a woman that I really enjoyed. Like, I really enjoyed. Like, I really was thinking back about it, and it's been a long time. Outside of her, I hadn't really been checking for anybody's albums like that. But
maybe Jean Grey.
Jean Grey. I used to be on Jean Grey a lot a couple years ago, but she didn't have the song-making ability to me that Rhapsody does, and I just think Rhapsody is a little bit more complete of that in an artist. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that album. I really like it. I think it's strong.
I like it too a lot. It's a complete album. So the first thing that caught me was the snippet that they played on Everyday Struggle with her and Kendrick on Power.
Yeah.
I heard that and I was like, oh, this sounds like my kind of song. Because I heard the beat right away. You know me, I like boom bap stuff, which is why I really like this album also. But with me, first and foremost, what comes with anything is, and you could tell for the most part in the people that I listen to, I put bars before everything else. I need lyrics, you know what I mean? I need lyrics. I need things that make me think, and I'm like, hey, like, this is really good. Lecrae's album also really, really good. Highly recommend.
Good, let's take a listen to it.
And Ninth Wonder is one of my favorite producers, like I said. And also the track list got me. So I was looking through, and you look and the features are there. And I don't try to pay attention to features be the first thing, but you see them, right? So I'm like, Anderson .Paak, who to me had the album of the year last year, Malibu.
Great album.
Who I want to hear more from, so hopefully he's got another album on the way. Black Thought. And on the same song.
So you know you were really excited there.
Black Thought's in his top 5, Dead or Alive.
In mine, that's for sure. Yep.
So we got BJ the Chicago Kid also. We got Busta Rhymes. So that's a, very like an all-star guest lineup. Lecrae doesn't really have an all-star guest lineup. He does have Ty Dolla $ign, Verse Simmons, who has done some other stuff in the past. I believe he was on a song with Meek Mill and Dream Chasers 4.
Okay.
But they're both really, really good albums. Like, I was happy about that. I don't know where it stacks in my top 10, top 5 or albums of the year, but it's probably going to end up in that top 10 somewhere with the Jay-Z's and the Kendricks and the Vince Staples. I don't even know if that's a thing. Freddie Gibbs, too. And
see, I keep telling y'all, Freddie Gibbs comes in somewhere into the podcast. I didn't even bring him up today. Wasn't me.
To me, he had one of the best albums this year. But so are these two, and that brings us full circle to this discussion. But yeah, I think we've gotten Vic Mensa also, and I'm missing a couple others, Rick Ross, but whatever. A lot of good albums that come out this year. So
Bronson.
As a hip-hop fan, yes. As a hip-hop fan, I'm happy about that. Next month, there's Do We Care About Wu-Tang? Coming out in a couple weeks.
Before. I don't.
Do we care about Tech 9 coming out?
Nope.
In a few weeks. Do we care about what else is coming out? I'm pulling up a list. Do we care about hopefully Nas drops.
I'm not even gonna talk about that again. My hopes up. I'll always care, but yeah, I'm a little get a little bit annoyed now.
Static Selector.
Yeah, I always care for. I love his production, so I'm always gonna check that out.
Speaking of Nas, so there was something interesting that came up, and I sent this to you. So apparently, Many Men, which is one of the
50s
greatest 50 Cent songs probably like that he's made. I think so. It's in his top 5, maybe even 3, maybe even 1. But Many Men is a great song that we know, and apparently this was originally an unfinished Nas song that somehow got to 50 Cent, and he made Many Men on it. So I'm wondering, like, that's a great song, and it sounds great the way it is. Yeah. But I'm still curious to see what that sounded like with Nas over that beat.
You know what? It's weird because like I can hear Nas on that beat. But maybe he wouldn't have executed it as well as 50 did. Like 50's execution,
which is crazy to say,
and emotion on that song, right? But you have all this stuff through hip hop, right? Sometimes where this beat was made for somebody else, like, and sometimes it's weird because you'll be like, yo, I don't even know how that would have worked. Like Heart of the City by Kanye, which obviously Jay-Z had.
Yeah.
That was made for DMX. I still can't believe that. Every time I hear that, I'm like, man, I can't hear DMX on that.
That's right.
Like, it's just too soulful for DMX to hear. Like, I can't hear that. But I could hear Nas on Many Men, but it's about the execution. I will never do a.
The room is
like
laughing.
That.
Yo, there are a lot of funny things that happen in this room. We need more cameras in here.
Yeah, I'll never do that again. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to hear it. I know people always like, oh, I want to hear how this sounds.
Yeah, just.
I'm not pressed to hear it, but
I don't think Nas got in the booth and was like, singing, harmonizing the hook either, being like, many men, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He probably just. I don't even know what I would have thought that he did, but whatever. Off that.
Yeah.
How about Coming to America? Because I know you have some feelings about this, and you're. Let's just let you get all the feelings.
I didn't know about this till right before we recorded this podcast, but it was brought to my attention that there are plans to make a sequel to the classic movie.
Yeah,
Coming to America.
You don't mess with the classics.
And this is just a problem in Hollywood. This is a problem in television. We have to like redo things all the time, or make these sequels to stuff 25 years later, like Independence Day 2. What's that come out last summer or something before? I can't remember. I love Independence Day, and I saw that and I was like, nope. Somebody can give me that movie to watch for free, and I'll be like, no, I can find something better to do with my time. I have no interest in that. And that's probably how I feel about Coming to America too. Are you bringing Eddie Murphy back in this? No, does it really, like, how is it really coming to America if you already came to America? So shouldn't it be like staying in America? Yeah. Which is a hard thing to do now with 45 in office. But I don't even know what the story could be. Like, I'm seriously, I don't know what the story could be. Like, I would like to know, like, if you're watching us, please let us know on Twitter. Do you want to see a Coming to America sequel? Because I don't. Matt, our producer, he likes the movie. Like, he loves the movie. We were talking about, Matt, do you want to see Coming to America 2, the sequel, Staying in America?
I don't. I saw the Independence Day sequel, and I hated it. And they tried to replace Will Smith, which can never be done. Apparently they just found someone to fill him in, and they called it his son. So what they might do is they might find a son for Prince Akeem. I grew up on the movie. I've seen it a million times over and over again.
You know what it is?
So that's a no.
Yeah.
No, okay. Of course not.
You know what it is, though? A lot of sequels to classic things in general just normally don't work out. In music, it's the same thing. Like, I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head. I mean, like, not that it was trash or anything, but Blueprint 2 wasn't as good as Blueprint 1. No. And there was a part 3, which I don't think there should have been, but that's another topic.
Which was actually better than second, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, but their part 2s usually aren't as good as part 1. Is there any example? Are there any examples of a part 2 better than a part 1 in anything?
Now, part 2s of things in set trilogies, or they can work. But when you initially made something and then years later you come out with part 2 and it's not really part of the story or formula, it's hard to recapture that. Like, you talk about Blueprint, you have that looped up soul sound, Kanye and Just Blaze. It was hard to recapture that in another album. You can never make that again. Yeah. You can't do another one of those. And Coming to America, this is just a bad idea. Just stop.
Yeah, it's like you go to part 2 and then you go to part 3. I think more people need to go from 1 to 2 to 7,000 like Action Bronson.
I'm here for that. I'm all for that. Let's just skip all over the nonsense. Let's just go right there. But look, they're trying to get the people, like, Coming to America came out when I was a kid, very young. Yeah. And even like people like yourself and Matt, who are a little younger, have watched this growing up as a kid. They're trying to capitalize off that nostalgia. But this whole bringing things back, what NBC just brought back Will and Grace,
they did?
No, we don't need this. Like, who asked for this? Who's out there saying, like, yo, man, you know what movie I really want to see? Coming to America 2. That's what I want. No, but nobody's saying that. Nobody asked for that. I'm not believing that at all. Nobody asked for that.
I have another issue. Yeah. So I have a dilemma. If some of you may know, I do play video games in my spare time, the rare spare time that I do have. Recently got Madden, recently got 2K, enjoying them both. However, I don't read. Madden's the same every year. FIFA is coming out like tonight. We're recording this on a Thursday. so it should be out like midnight Friday, whatever. FIFA's coming out. WWE 2K18 is coming out. I'm getting one, and the other one I could just, maybe I could tell like.
That's not even the delivery for me.
I get a.
Like I know.
You're getting FIFA.
Yeah, you know what I'm doing. I'm getting the real sport.
Okay, don't do that.
I'm getting the real sport. That's what I'm playing.
FIFA or WWE 2K, what does executive producer Matthew Faniza think?
I kind of know
what does director of photography Luis Velez think? What does everybody in this room think? Luis, come here.
Yeah. I don't know.
Let me explain this a little bit more. Here's the thing. I get WWE every single year, right? And then after like 2 months, I'm pissed off because it's like I touch it like twice. And then and they have all these features and all these wrestlers that I like and everything like that. And then I can't. And then after 2 months, it's like, all right. I just
like you already know what to do.
I traded in the spring, and I haven't gotten FIFA in years. It sounded like I'm leaning FIFA.
So get FIFA.
But it's so like, yo, man, that career mode is pretty dope if I can get through it.
It is pretty dope.
It takes forever for me to get out of NXT.
The WWE game, they gave you a set roster, and then everything else is DLC. So you have to pay $5 for these 3 guys. $5.
I have $5.
Okay, but
he's like, yo, I'm not broke. I'm not broke. I'm just trying to let y'all know.
But that's not. That's like the thing is when you buy a game nowadays, it's not like back then when you bought a game, you got a full game. Now when you buy a game, you get a quarter of the game. Wait 3 months. Here's another part of the game. Give us $25. Wait 3 months. Here you go. Here you go. 2 years after the initial game release, there's your full game. You just invested $140. Oh, wait, a sequel in a year from now. There we go. That old game is obsolete. No one's playing that. Servers are dead. Play our sequel. Play our sequel. Play our sequel.
Accurate breakdown.
So
this is Call of Duty, everyone. This is Call of Duty.
So what you're saying is your money is better spent on FIFA because they won't, ridiculously abuse you with the DLC. And I'm a video game player too.
Yeah.
I'm not anti-DLC.
No, me either.
Because I think it actually gives life more to games over a longer period of time. Yeah. But they are kind of like saying, like, yo, take your wallet out because we know you're going to pay for it. And you guys are big wrestling fans, and I'm not.
That's true.
And y'all know damn well you're going to pay for it.
I don't watch as much as I used to, though. You know what I mean? That's the thing. I don't watch because now I'm busier than I used to be, so I just don't really have like as much time to kind of watch.
But you got that $5. You got that bread.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's more than $5 now, actually.
You're ready to spend.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. Like there are things that I would do. Like I always create wrestlers. I always like turn up in GM mode. Sasha Banks.
That's not a thing.
Sasha Banks is my favorite wrestler. What? Not GM mode. What's it called now?
It's called, I don't know.
I called it what it was called like 10 years ago.
But but GM mode was
universe mode.
Yeah, universe. But
I have no idea what these guys.
It's not as fun.
Here's the thing. Sasha Banks is my favorite wrestler. I want to use her. I want to use Finn Balor. You know what I'm saying? Louis, what do you think?
Yeah, let me pass on the mic.
Persuade me why I should get FIFA because I know that's what you're gonna do. Give Louis a headset. We're a little clunky here, guys. We're not as smooth as
Louis
people would
is a
want us
big
to
soccer fan, so we know he's gonna say FIFA.
FIFA Louis.
Louis, what's up?
What the hell is WWE? I've never seen it in my entire life. And that's not even a joke. I've actually never watched. All right, there you go. I've actually never watched like a full fight.
You've never watched wrestling?
No.
In your life?
No.
God.
No.
What?
I can't name 5. I can name like 2 fighters.
I mean, outside of going on a production trip with us.
Exactly. That's like one of the few times that I've seen.
Plug for Sideline Stories coming up. We have a story about local wrestling, but outside of that, which Louis helped shoot on.
Yeah.
Shout out Mike Verna.
As a director of photography for that shoot, I had to leave Matt over here, to let him take the lead for the beginning of it because I don't know anything about the WWE. I was lost half of the time, and he was telling me to shoo away.
It's funny because we were on these trips, right? We were on not to get too self-involved here, but we were on these trips, and me and Matt were like explaining everything. Like, yo, this is about to happen. This is what happens here. Like, we were just kind of like, kind of guiding the team.
Well, to that I say, well, then you guys can enjoy your WWE video game. I'll be,
Are you even getting FIFA?
Yeah, I'll get
Are you getting 2K? Like, are you getting?
I'm getting 2K. I haven't got 2K.
Hey, Brian, I should preface this. I haven't owned a video game system in about 5 years, so I don't even know if you should.
Why do we even ask? We didn't even need to hear from.
But that he watches soccer. Like, here's the thing too. The World Cup is next year.
Okay.
The World Cup is next year. You know what I mean?
You watch it. You don't play it in video
You
games.
said it to him like he doesn't know that. Like, he doesn't
So
know
I'm thinking, I'm freestyling this. I'm thinking it all in my head. What's up?
Okay. Okay. So
There we go.
Yes.
the World Cup is for this summer coming up, right?
Yeah. So it'll
So-
be featured in next game. Is that what you're about to tell me?
So this game coming up is going to be. From what I remember from the last World Cup, there's an update that they include all the World Cup teams. So
Yes.
the last time the World Cup occurred,
2014.
Update during when the game was already out.
Yeah. But what they do is sometimes people don't own the game and they don't want to buy the regular. I don't know why people wouldn't want to buy the regular FIFA, but they end up making a game just for World Cup teams, and people just buy that game. But if you're considering buying it based off playing for World Cup, yeah, buy this game. Don't buy WWE.
Does FIFA even have a career mode now?
Yeah, I think
had one last year. Do they have one?
Yeah, it's not so in depth though, but I feel like they're
Man,
developing it more.
I don't want to get hoodwinked.
Nah. Yo, get it for career mode because I'm a Man United fan, and that used to be like the Rashford mode, the Marcus Rashford mode. That's the nickname. So shit.
You can't say anything. You lost 5-0 against Man City. You can't say anything.
Talk Team Liverpool over here. We don't talk about that.
I like Daniel Sturridge.
Well, I don't think that we've come to any conclusion on this. All I'll say is you buy what you like to buy. If you like a little wrestling, it's not really a sport, you buy that. If you want to, play a real
Stop playing
sport,
because I want Sasha Banks to come on this podcast eventually. You're not helping.
Hopefully one day.
Well, all right. I will gladly have her come on this podcast, and I'll sit here and watch the two of you go at it. However that may
We'll
be.
end the podcast on that
All
note.
right,
Thank you, everybody.
Please, let's end it.
Well, that's it for episode 3 of A Hard Tell. We talked about episode 4, excuse me.
Come on.
4.
1 month.
4 of the books we've done 4. We want to thank everybody for their support thus far. We should have a guest coming on next week. You guys will find out who that is when it's the appropriate time.
Freddie Gibbs.
We'll let you know about anything else coming up. Please follow us on Twitter at AHTTPod. Make sure to follow us there. Instagram, Facebook, everywhere to find out about the latest stuff going on, deals going on with us, everything that's happening. That's it for a wrap. For Matthew Finiza, Matthew Panico, Luis Velez, Bryan Fonseca, I'm Dexter Henry, signing off for the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast.
Rest in peace, Hugh Hefner.
You're